Today we will present our sustainability strategy for Target, built in response to the evolving landscape of environmental responsibility, ethical labor, and corporate accountability. In this scenario, government regulations mandate full product life cycle accountability. Brands like Target will face fines for unsold inventory disposal, high supply chain emissions, and non-circular product design, all aimed at reducing waste and enforcing sustainability. Without adapting, Target risks heavy fines due to non-circular products and excessive waste. The current model lacks compliance with circular economy standards, leading to inefficiencies. Additionally, failing to position toward sustainable consumers could weaken market relevance. To stay ahead, Target must redesign products, optimize its supply chain, and embed sustainability into its core strategy. Concerning the measures introduced by the consultancy reports, we adopted all measures except for one, the subscription or rental models. We didn't consider this feasible for a supermarket, as we did not find a lot of products that would be suitable to renting out and then returning upon using them. We just couldn't think of many. Therefore, we considered it unfeasible. Now, measures we added, on the other hand, since we added quite a few, things like the Green Investment Fund, for example, a fund that would allow Target to invest in new promising startups in the sustainability field so as to stay in the forefront of sustainable innovation. Now, the regulatory shifts toward a circular economy will require Target to transform key areas of its business model. The highlighted sections represent critical gaps where capabilities must be expanded or restructured to meet sustainability mandates while reinforcing our core value: expect more, pay less. Now, concerning the value proposition, Target has already introduced sustainability efforts like Target Fit Forward and Target Zero, but these remain product-focused and fragmented rather than an integrated circular strategy. Currently, there is no company-wide framework ensuring product circularity across all categories. To address this, we will introduce extended product warranties, scalable take-back programs, and refill stations in partnership with a major FMCG brand. This partnership is key. FMCG companies bring world-class marketing expertise, which we will leverage to drive large-scale consumer adoption of refill shopping. By associating the shift with a recognizable brand, we ensure consumers see refill models as mainstream, not niche. Additionally, our private label alternatives in refill format will make sustainable options affordable and accessible. Concerning our revenue streams, currently Target's revenue model relies primarily on traditional retail with only limited monetization for resale and refurbishment. Expanding reverse logistics will turn returned goods into a profitable resale channel, while refill stations generating recurring revenue by shifting purchases from single-use to lower-cost reusable alternatives. The FMCG collaboration also increases in-store foot traffic, bringing customers back for refill purchases, which in turn drives higher transactions across all categories. Concerning the key resources, while Target has invested in AI and data analytics, we lack full lifecycle tracking for circular products. Current AI applications optimize supply chain efficiencies, but do not track individual product circularity. To close this gap, we will implement AI-driven demand forecasting and blockchain tracking to monitor product take-back, resale, and reuse rates. Additionally, our Green Investment Fund will finance R&D in circular packaging, durable product design, and reverse logistics. Concerning our key partnerships, currently sustainability efforts for suppliers are voluntary, with no structured incentive for brands to adopt circular models, while initiatives like Black Beyond Measure successfully promote Black-owned businesses. Similar structured programs for sustainable suppliers do not exist. To address this, we will expand shelf space and premium placement for refill-friendly brands, share exclusive consumer insights, FMCG brands value detailed buying behavior, launch co-branded sustainability campaigns to increase consumer trust and adoption, and introduce supplier incentives for take-back participation and extended warranties. By aligning supplier success with sustainability benchmarks, we make a circularity business advantage, not just a compliance requirement. Concerning the customer relationships, Target Circle, our loyalty program, currently lacks direct incentives for sustainable shopping. To change this, we will introduce bonus points for circular purchases, gamified sustainability challenges, to encourage refills and reusables, scan to recycle rewards, integrating waste reduction into the customer experience. These strategies drive loyalty and reinforce affordability through cost-saving behaviors. Now, concerning the cost structure, circularity requires upfront investment in reverse logistics, AI tracking, and refill infrastructure. However, by linking executive KPIs to sustainability goals and driving efficiencies like reduced packaging costs and resale revenue, these initiatives will be financially sustainable long-term. In conclusion, by closing these gaps, Target will not just comply with regulations, we will lead transition to a more profitable, sustainable, and resilient retail model. These changes redefine expect more, pay less, proving that sustainability and affordability can go hand in hand.
All right. Regarding scenario 2, in this scenario, the business world is shifting towards stricter DEI standards. DEI stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion, with governments enforcing fair wages, gender equity, and supplier fairness. Their consumers and investors additionally demand brands that prioritize a fair labor, inclusive hiring, and ethical sourcing. So companies that fail to adapt to this risk legal penalties and reputational damage. Without change, Target currently faces legal risk and market share loss because they have gaps in labor and supply chain standards. The main issues are inconsistent fair wages across the suppliers, a lack of transparency in supplier diversity and ethical labor, and ongoing scrutiny of leadership diversity and DEI commitments. So in order to stay competitive, Target has to strengthen the workforce equity, enforce supplier accountability, and integrate DEI into leadership performance, which would ensure fairness and transparency to remain business imperatives. Now, the measures that were provided to us by the consultancy report, we decided to basically take all of them, but with one twist. We decided to introduce ESG-linked KPIs for management, which should incentivize the management and leaders to introduce ESG measures, especially focused on social, to come up with the DEI standards. Now on the business canvas, because labor fairness and workplace equity became priorities for consumers and investors or regulators, Target has to address critical gaps to remain competitive and compliant. The highlighted orange areas, they show where investment, operational shifts, or restructuring are going to be needed to meet the expectations while maintaining affordability and efficiency. So let's come to the value proposition. Target's Black Beyond Measure, Latino Heritage Month, and Pride collections already showcase diversity in products, but consumers expect ethical commitments across supply chains and workforce equity. Currently, Target lacks transparency in supplier fairness, workplace diversity, and wage equity. In order to close this gap, Target has to expand DEI storytelling beyond the product representation and introduce a consumer-facing DEI impact score to highlight brands meeting fair labor benchmarks. This requires no major investment, but just a small shift in strategy, making it an immediate priority. Now, regarding customer relationships, the consumers are expecting transparency in ethical sourcing, yet Target lacks a clear way for customers to verify labor conditions. While initiatives like Target Zero already promote sustainability, there is no equivalent fair labor program. So in order to address this, we're going to implement blockchain traceability so that consumers and regulators can verify labor conditions easily. Also, we're going to introduce QR codes on product packaging for real-time data on wages, sourcing, and compliance. Thirdly, we will expand Fairtrade certified brands to create a clear ethical shopping category. So a moderate investment in blockchain and vendor tracking is going to improve consumer trust, regulatory compliance, and risk mitigation. We're going to start with high-risk categories like apparel and home goods, and then scale system-wide. Now, regarding key partnerships, Target supports supply diversity, spending $2 billion with Black-owned businesses by 2025, but ethical labor standards remain voluntary. Brands can still sell in our stores without proving fair wages. In order to fix this, we're going to mandate B Corp or SA 8000 certifications for our key suppliers. Also, we're going to enforce human rights due diligence audits for stronger oversight. And we're going to use shelf space and promotional incentives to encourage compliance. This low-cost but high-impact strategy is going to ensure suppliers meet ethical labor benchmarks within the next 12 months, starting with high-risk categories. Now, regarding the key resources, while Target already has DEI hiring goals, we lack data tracking for leadership diversity, career growth, and wage equality. Without that, progress is going to be hard to measure. So in order to fix this, we're going to develop an ESG data dashboard to track workforce and supplier equity. Also, we're going to use AI analytics to monitor fair wages across the supply chain, and we're going to tie DEI and wage equity targets to executive performance reviews. A moderate investment in HR and data systems is going to start with manual tracking before scaling to AI-powered monitoring over 2 years. Now, the cost structure. Currently, Target does not link executive compensation to ESG goals, leaving no financial incentive to prioritize workforce equity. In order to close this, we're going to tie executive bonuses to ESG performance to ensure labor fairness and DEI progress. Also, we're going to require supply ESG scores for continued vendor partnerships. And last, we're going to publish annual workforce equity and wage transparency reports for public accountability. This is not going to require any major restructuring, but just a policy shift, which is going to make it an immediate priority. So concluding, by addressing all these gaps, Target will lead in workplace equity, ethical sourcing, and labor transparency, which is going to ensure fair labor is not just compliance, it's a driver of trust, profitability, and long-term brand strength, while reinforcing our core promise. Expect more and pay less.
Of scenarios, a clear pattern emerges. These challenges are not isolated. Whether responding to regulatory acceleration or shifting consumer expectations, 3 fundamental gaps must be addressed for Target's transformation. First, the transparency and traceability gap. Across sustainability and labor fairness, we lack a unified system to verify, track, and prove our commitments. Consumers, regulators, and internal teams cannot see a product's full life cycle. The solution? Integrate AI and blockchain for real-time traceability, ensuring environmental and social responsibility are provable, not just promised. Second, the supplier compliance gap. While we work with responsible suppliers, accountability is voluntary, not enforced. This allows non-recyclable materials and unethical labor practices to persist. We must mandate third-party certifications, ESG scorecards, and traceability systems, shifting from reactive oversight to proactive enforcement to protect both our brand and consumers. Finally, the leadership accountability gap. Sustainability and ethical labor progress are not directly tied to executive performance. Without accountability at the highest levels, initiatives risk becoming second priorities. The solution is linking executive KPIs and compensation to ESG performance, ensuring measurable, tangible impact. These aren't just compliance challenges, they're competitive opportunities. Closing these gaps mitigates risks, builds trust, and positions Target as a leader in responsible retail. Now is the time to act, ensuring that expect more, pay less applies, not just to price, but to the ethical and environmental standards that will define the future of retail.